We have a very special guest here with us this morning on the Elvis and Friends Show. I'm very pleased and honored to have with us Mother Dolores Hart. Mother Dolores, welcome to the Elvis and Friends Show here at 98.1.
Oh, thank you. I feel very at home here.
Good. Well, we want
you
you to feel at home. At the time she was just Dolores Hart, she co-starred with Elvis Presley in 2 of his movies. So let's take it to the very beginning, Mother Dolores. How did you make your way out to Hollywood? Were you always thinking of showbiz? You wanted to get into showbiz?
I was always thinking of it from the time I was 7 years old because my daddy was a Clark Gable lookalike. And so he was driving a truck in 1939, and a talent scout saw him and said, "You should go to Hollywood." So my mother and dad did go to Hollywood. And eventually I was there in school and grew up. And the only thing I wanted to do was to go on the screen like my daddy.
So that's how, okay, so you sort of followed your dream to Hollywood.
Yes.
And you did a total of 10 movies while you
Yes.
were there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your very first movie of your career was with Elvis Presley.
That's right.
It was Loving You in 1957. And you were Elvis's love interest in that movie, Susan Jessup. What a great movie. It's an Elvis classic. I mean, everybody loves that. Right there at the beginning of his career. I was reading your book, a fascinating book. I haven't finished it yet, The Ear of the Heart, which is an interesting title.
It's the first line in the Rule of St. Benedict, which says in Latin, Ascolta, o figli, listen, my son, to the voice of the Master with the ear of your heart.
Wow.
And that more or less sets you up for the whole thing.
Exactly. A beautiful title and a very interesting book. I was, of course, hosting the Elvis and Friends Show. I'm particularly interested in the movies that you made with Elvis, and I saw the part where you were talking about Loving You, that you were perhaps the only girl in America who was not insane over Elvis Presley.
Well, the fact was, when I met him, I was in school, and I didn't know who he was. So when I met him, I was with Liz Scott and Wendell Corey. Of course, I knew them. They were movie stars.
Right.
And so then they introduced me, and they said, "This is Elvis Presley." And I said, "How do you do? What do you do?"
You didn't have any of his records or anything? How do you do? What do you do?
And when I'm back and I talked to the girls at school, they said, "Oh, didn't you get a clip of his hair?" And I said, "I don't do that with people I just meet."
Right, right.